Hi there, Agile friends. Get ready for the World Tour of Agile at the Agile Online Summit 2023. You can join us from October 24th to 26th for a global showcase of cutting-edge Agile practices and insights. Join us at agileonlinesummit.com. This year, we will be featuring some of the best work done around the world and world-class keynotes. You can check all of that at agileonlinesummit.com. But the best part is that your ticket is on us. That's right, it's free to attend and immerse yourself in the world of Agile excellence. Don't miss out on this opportunity to level up your skills and network with peers and industry experts. Mark your calendars and secure your spot at AOS 23 today by visiting agileonlinesummit.com. So get your free ticket or opt for the full digital pass that lets you keep all the conference videos forever and organize, why not, Agile learning sessions at work. You can get the full digital access at agileonlinesummit.com. I'll see you in the conference floor. Hello everybody, welcome to our Wednesday Leading Change episode this week with Tom Siebeneicher. Hey Tom, welcome back.
Nice to be here again.
Absolutely. So today we dive into the murky waters of change, as I so often call it. And of course, we're going to talk about change leadership because it is one of the key aspects of the Scrum Master and in your case, also Agile coach's role.
Yeah.
So tell us that story. Walk us through the process, change process you were involved with, like step by step, how it started and so on. And then as you go, highlight for us some of the tools, the tips, the tricks, and the techniques you learned back then that you still apply today.
I even would like to give it a slightly different angle because for me, where it all started was that why do we need change management at all? So I quite often came in organizations and they said, I want to have Scrum. I want to have Scrum teams. For that, I need a PO, I need a Scrum Master, I need to train them, and off we go. And quite early, I always started to add in this discussion with organizations that, but how do we handle the change management? Why do we need change management? Just implement the method and then we're happy. But you're hoping to have an organizational way of working where teams and people need to change behavior without telling them why, without giving them a reasoning. And one of the models I quite often use for that is the outcome model. To really say, okay, what is awareness? How we create desire? How can we ensure knowledge? So really walk through the model. And with one organization, it was right before COVID, and actually even before my sabbatical, I was working with, we started to sit down with the leadership, and leadership said, okay, I have around about 60 people. And I think for my IT department, what they were, Scrum and feature teams makes a lot of sense. I said, okay, good. You say it makes a lot of sense. Why do you think so? So we started to peel out where's the why coming from. And then we had a good reasoning because the teams were structured in project-based thinking. They had to jump from one project to another. So the people were unhappy because they always were brought where the work is instead of the work to the people. And then it's okay, good, let's do this. And let's make a proper change process. And he said, no, I don't want to do that. Here's money for the project, but leave me alone. I said, well, this is sponsorship. I don't need sponsorship. I need leadership. I need you to talk and walk the walk and not just talk about it. And they said, okay, how do I do that? So first thing we said was, okay, let's create awareness in your department. Let's get together, create this awareness. So we did a town hall where we talked about, okay, this change will come. So we make a big town hall that we say, okay, we want to restructure the whole department into Scrum teams, into feature teams. So we had this awareness session, this town hall, and we also collected a lot of feedback. What do people thought about? What do you need? Why do you think it's good or bad? So we collected all of that. And in the next session, we then also tackled the desire element. We said, okay, we heard your questions. With Scrum, the following things could change. It was really interesting because I think over the course of 4 weeks, we did 5 Q&A sessions and people could come, ask their questions. We would always record it and write it down so that we really had our whole change reasoning supported by all the questions. We could really tackle and bubble up everything which is in the room. And then the next thing happened, which I think nowadays happens way more often because Agile is mainstream. The people Googled Scrum. What is Scrum? What does Scrum mean? And then all these things came up. So the knowledge element was really interesting to me because we prepared trainings, but the people said, for this little thing, it's 11 pages, Scrum Guide, even sometimes a wrong number of pages, but that's a side note. They would say, I can do this by myself. I said, no, everyone goes to the training. And then another discussion with the leadership, because they said, I can save money if they don't go to the training. Yeah,
Dangerous
fair point. No,
thought.
everything and everyone needs to go through the training. So we did that. And I think I had 6 to 7 characters, I would say, which have been really against the training. And after the training, at least I think 2 or 3 of them came to me and said, Tom, you're right. It was really good to join the training. Now I understand what we will do. I still have no clue if it will work, but I understand what we want to do. I said, well, that's the first fair point. And then we started. So we started with one team, then a second team. So we iterated and helped them to really have this ability to do the things, which was a lot of coaching for me. And I also have to admit, I think one team really struggled. They didn't get into the rhythm because the issue was that they were more operational than the other teams. So Scrum with clear time boxes and the sprint cadence was just not for them. We could now I see your face, we could directly argue about the fact why Scrum still could work. Let's table that for now. But for them, it was Kanban. So we let them do Kanban and it worked perfectly. So they got out of it. And I think after half a year, I already left this engagement. The department lead came back to me again and said, it's working, you're right. And then he also sent this communication to the whole organization that he's so happy what they did. So this reinforcement really happened. So it was not by the book, so I cannot go to ProSci and say Agile is great, but it was quite close to it and helped a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I like how you went through that story. Also, the ADKAR model, we'll put the link in the show notes, kind of provides a very good framework. Like, when you go to the details, you may agree or disagree in some aspects. And definitely, I do want to mention the Lean Change model by Jason Little, and we'll put the link to the book in the show notes, because it's a different model that also uses parts of ADKAR and also criticizes parts of ADKAR that don't really work in practice. It's important to know what works and what doesn't work. And I like how you went through that. But then the things that came to me as you were describing the story is that actually in practice, what really mattered was, did people actually go to the training? And then some of those changed their view. And this team that, for whom Scrum just didn't work, they couldn't make it work. And we tried Kanban. And the leader was satisfied with what was going on. And they sent an email to everybody congratulating them on the change. And I think that those little things are the things that actually tell us what is going on. And in some of those, at least, reinforce the positive movement of change. And you started the episode by saying, I don't think we need change management at all. And I think now is the right time to dig more into that. What do you really mean? Because you just described a change model that is the change management model that actually helped. So how did you come to that conclusion then, that we don't need change management at all?
I think I struggle with the word management. I always struggle with the word management. I totally agree we need change, and a change needs to be supported and a change needs to be handled. And with what kind of framework you're doing it, what are you using, it honestly doesn't matter. Because at the end, if you get, as you said, the tiny things along, the people are aware of it, they get the chance to ask their questions. They also get the knowledge they need at hopefully the right point in time, or via coaching, via trainings, via just listening to podcasts, whatsoever. And I think that's why change management is really important. But the more important thing to me is, on top of that is, for me, people, organizations, and teams only can digest a certain amount of disruption, a certain amount of change. And even if you take ADKAR or whatever kind of change model, if you just pressure the individuals through the pipeline to make it happen as soon as possible, it will not work, because this delicate balance of, okay, the people digested what we want to do, they have an understanding, and now are ready for the next step, is always different. So, for example, I had organizations which are also culturally sometimes different, which came back to me, I think we can implement this in 4 weeks. It will work, or in 2 weeks, because they are so much behind it and had the time to do, and it worked. In other organizations, I think it took us 3-4 months, because learning, trainings, Q&A sessions, preparing everything they just had a different speed and a different culture in the organization. So I think, and that's the key, figuring out how much change is possible and then adapt your behavior to it.
Yeah. And one of the things that comes out of that realization is that in order to figure out how much change is possible, we need to be listening all the time. And sometimes that means we need to get out of the actual change model. We need to do different things. We need to experiment. We need to try other things that we might not even have thought about. So this figuring out how much change is possible is actually critical for us to succeed at change management. That was a great story. Thank you for sharing that with us, Tom. Leading change is one of the core skills we must acquire, but it is only one of the steps towards our success as Scrum Masters. Tomorrow, on Success Thursday, we will talk about how to define success for the Scrum Master role. We'll cover tips on how to measure your way to that position, and most importantly, how to develop that focus on continuous improvement that is as important for Scrum Masters as it is for teams. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.